All right, I could pick that as a lookout. Last time I forgot my signal mirror. Let's see what I've got here. Binocs, my mirror, definitely got the sunscreen, batteries. Good position here, nothing obscured, but man, what a hump it was to get up here. There's a lot of continuous fuel. That's gonna probably be a big problem if the fire gets up into there and then starts moving through. Start to see some scout clouds out on the horizon. Thunderstorms might be today. That crew keeps going and punching line all the way around. I think we're gonna have to think about getting a new safety zone. Yeah, from up here, boy, I've got really good comm with division, with the ICP. I can hear dispatch pretty good, so I'll let them know if I can be a human repeater for them. In selecting a lookout, it basically looking for someone starting off with a good background in fire behavior. And another thing is just having common sense. Being able to reason things out, good communication skills, someone that you know is going to be competent and trusted. The whole idea is to have everyone to come home at the end of the day safely. And so what you want, whether they're the best person out there digging, the hardest worker, in a way, that's what you want them to be also. The best person out there being your lookout. Where to place a lookout is one of the big things. Is it a point to where you can see the whole fire? Is it a place to where that it's going to be safe enough for the lookout if something does happen? And how long will it take you to get there? How long will it take you to get out? Along with that, you've got a plan to be out there for quite a while. Water, food, extra batteries, maybe even at times taking a sleeping bag or something. You get dropped off by a helicopter out in the middle of nowhere. It's one of the strangest things to know that you're being left out there overnight and you don't have enough stuff to deal with it. Roving lookout can be used in a lot of situations. Most people think of lookout as being on a faraway place. Maybe you're doing a long burnout and you've got to have someone that can see the whole show and move along and watch for things as you're moving. Another thing could be a roving lookout within the fire itself. Maybe just in those certain instances where they are in a dangerous spot. Maybe it's for rolling rocks. Maybe you're in a snag patch, but have that as a dedicated person to do that, not having their head down and looking up every few minutes, because it usually happens whenever you look away. Safety zones are a big thing that lookout should be aware of. And the other thing is, where are they in location to the crews? And where are they after the crews start moving through the woods? Can they get back to that, or do they need a new safety zone? And just in case your route to the safety zone is compromised, the lookout can give good feedback and say, well, no, your route to the safety zone is compromised. I see another place over here. They can guide you to a new one. Using aircraft as a lookout is okay for a short time. And in short time, I mean from a minute to maybe 5 to 10. And just for that, for being like a scout. Looking out, maybe you see something over the ridge. Is there something here that you can see, but nothing to really rely on, because aircraft, they can't see a lot of stuff at times from one good vantage point. They're moving all the time. They have to go back, they have to fuel up. So generally, I do not like to use aircraft as a designated lookout. Walking up to the lookout spot, mainly, start thinking about the fire behavior that's going to happen here later on. Especially looking at the vegetation, feeling things, especially the green. I like to go up, feel what the live fuel moisture is in some of the plants, checking things out. Especially, if the fire comes over here, what the vegetation is going to be like. Take a look out and see what we've got. See if I can look out over here and see what they're working in. The fire behavior is one of the main things you got to watch for. What's the spotting potential? What would happen if the wind shifted? The fire behavior it deals a lot with the weather too. So they both coincide hand in hand. You're going to be looking at trends. Yeah, it is getting hotter and drier. I've got such and such RH here. What do you got? Listening to what they have. What are discrepancies that you're hearing? And if they're not picking it up, let them know. So just don't be a no-brainer hiking to your spot. Looking at the fuels. What would happen if? You got to do the what-if game over here, and that's what you got to do when you look back over at whatever your crew's working in or whoever's out there. Communications is one of the most important part, I think, of being a lookout. You could have great fire behavior background, you could be one of the best observers, but to be able to communicate what you see is a great asset. The lookout can be used as a communication link, especially during logistical times. Getting to ICP, talking maybe to dispatch, they can be used as a human repeater. The communication part covers a lot more than just telling somebody, yes, there's a spot over here. Make the crews know that they can contact you, feel comfortable talking. You don't want to be standing out there for a long time, not saying anything at all. You need to give them some sorts of observations. And the other thing is getting feedback from them where they're at. What's their position on the fire? If you start listening and somebody keeps calling somebody over and over and there's no repeat, break in and say, hey, I can either be the human repeater, or maybe they're on a different channel, maybe they're talking to someone else. You have to be observing not only with your eyes, but with your ears at the same time. You've got to know your way around how to deal with the radio, how to change frequencies, not cloning the radio, but being able to put in frequencies, know whether you're working with narrow band, wide band, and a lot of times you're working a fire without an IAP. They don't have those frequencies. And sometimes it's either communicated over the radio or either at a briefing right off the bat. That's one of the most important parts, being able to switch back and forth and putting in a frequency really quick. Most crews have their own little internal channel to talk on when they're doing things. You don't necessarily have to monitor that, but being careful. They usually have a lot of good information of what's going on, and a lot of times that's not being communicated outside of that crew or outside of that little area, where it could be critical to people either on both sides of them or to the whole fire overall. To have someone state that from that crew, either the crew boss or even one of their lookouts, being in communication with them is real good. If you see something that is going to happen right away, or you observe something that might, you're not sure of, it's good to let the crews know as soon as possible. The timing can be a real critical factor. It could mean the difference between walking away from it and getting in a safe place, to the point of running away, and maybe sometimes not even getting out of there. So the best thing is not to wait until the last minute, until you think that it's going to either take off or it's not going to do this, do that. If you need to communicate something to the crew, do it quickly as possible so they have time to react to it. And being a lookout is not the sexiest job, but it is the most important. We need to change the idea that the lookout is just some slug out there that's nobody wants on the fire and they can get rid of them somehow, to the point to where, yeah, I want to be the lookout because it's the most important job that I have out here. Everybody can do different jobs on the fire, no problem. But being the lookout is definitely a specialized job that you're using a lot of your knowledge and the things that you know to help keep people safe.